Wordsworth Romney, obsolescence. He's waiting, Chef.
Order him in.
Wordsworth Romney, obsolescence.
You walk into this room at your own risk, because it leads to the future. Not a future that will be, but one that might be. This is not a new world. It's simply an extension of what began in the old one. It is patterned itself after every dictator who has ever planted the ripping imprint of a boot on the pages of history since the beginning of time. It has refinements, technological advancements, and a more sophisticated approach to the destruction of human freedom. But like every one of the superstates that preceded it, it has one iron rule. Logic is an enemy, and truth is a menace. This is Mr. Romney Wordsworth in his last 48 hours on Earth. He's a citizen of the state, but will soon have to be eliminated because he's built out of flesh, and because he has a mind. Mr. Romney Wordsworth will draw his last breaths in the twilight.
Wordsworth Romney, field investigation finding obsolescence. You know why you're here, Mr. Wordsworth?
Yes, sir.
I'd ask you to speak up if you will, Mr. Wordsworth.
Yes, sir, I know I am here.
You've been under investigation for the mandatory period of 1 year and 11 months. You are found to be obsolete. The purpose of this hearing is to make a finding in your case and make a sentence accordingly. Do you understand that, Mr. Wordsworth?
Yes, sir, I understand.
Your occupation, Mr. Wordsworth?
A librarian, sir.
A what?
A librarian, sir.
Is this my head counsel?
Yes, sir, yes.
He's been given orientation.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Wordsworth, I've been told to be given— Step back into the light, Mr. Wordsworth! I've been told you've been given counsel, Mr. Wordsworth, but I'm still not sure in my own mind you understand the nature of this hearing. The field investigators in your sector have classified you as obsolete. This finding with it carries serious implications. Now, I'd ask you again, your occupation, Mr. Wordsworth.
I am a librarian. That is my occupation, that is my profession. If you people choose to call that obsolete—
Request clarification of the term.
Yes, Mr. Wordsworth, the term you people, you make reference to the state.
I make reference to the state.
And you persist in declaring your occupation as that of a librarian, is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
A librarian. Having to do with books?
Yes, sir, books.
Well, since there are no more books, Mr. Wordsworth, there are no more libraries. And of course, as it follows, there is very little call for the services of a librarian. Case in point, a minister would tell us that his function is preaching the word of God. Of course, since it follows that the state has proven there is no God, that makes the function of a minister quite academic as well.
There is a God.
You are in error, Mr. Wordsworth. There is no God! The state has proven there is no God!
You cannot erase God with an edict.
You are obsolete, Mr. Wordsworth!
It's a lie. No man is obsolete.
You have no function, Mr. Wordsworth. You're an anachronism, like a ghost from another time.
I have nothing more than a reminder to you that you cannot destroy truth by burning pages.
You're a bug, Mr. Wordsworth. You're a crawling insect, an ugly, misformed little creature that has no purpose here, no meaning.
I am a human being.
You're a librarian, Mr. Wordsworth. You're a dealer in books and pamphlets and 2-cent fines and the musty fines of a language factory that spews meaningless words on an assembly line. Words, Mr. Wordsworth, that have no dimension, no substance, like the air, like the wind, like a vacuum that you make believe had an existence by scribbling index numbers on little cards.
I don't care. I tell you, I don't care. I exist. And if I speak one thought aloud, and that thought continues to live, even after I've been shoveled into the grave.
Delusions, Mr. Wordsworth, delusions that you inject into your veins with printer's ink, the narcotics you call literature, the Bible, poetry, essays, all kinds of it are opiate to make you think you have a strength, when you have no strength at all. You are nothing but spindly limbs and a dream, Mr. Wordsworth, and the state has no use for your kind. You waste our time, Mr. Wordsworth. You're not worth the waste. Instruct him.
Romney Wordsworth, step back to await the findings of this board.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, how do you find?
Obsolete!
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 Obsolete.
I concur.
Romney Wordsworth, step forward. This board finds you obsolete.
Mr. Wordsworth, your rights are as followed. You are to be liquidated within a mandatory period of 48 hours. Now, you have an option as to precise method and precise time. There are many prescribed methods, Mr. Wordsworth: pills, gas, electrocution, and it can be done an hour from now, immediately, or any other specific time you would request.
Louder.
Oh, I was merely saying that I'm a very rich man. I have such a luxury of options. In fact, I choose to do the following. I wish to be assigned an assassin to whom I shall tell the method of my execution.
This is unheard of.
Mr. Wordsworth, we don't understand the nature of your request.
Simply, that you are to assign me an assassin, but only he and I are to know the way that I am to die.
That would be acceptable, Mr. Wordsworth, provided you are eliminated within the 48-hour period.
Yes, of course. And one final request. I should like to die with an audience.
Ah, Mr. Wordsworth, that can be arranged indeed. It's not unusual that we televise executions. It tends to have an educative effect on the population.
I have no doubt.
Now, as to the time of your liquidation, Mr. Wordsworth,
Midnight.
and the place?
In my room.
Agreed, Mr. Wordsworth. We will send your liquidator over to you. He will be duty-bound not to divulge the method that you have decided upon. Now, that will be all, Mr. Wordsworth. You may leave and return to your room. Bizarre, yes. But to our advantage. We will show the people how this obsolete man's librarian